It was just after 6 a.m. on July 2, 2018 on the Isle of Bute on the west side of Scotland, and Callum MacPhail was getting ready for work. His granddaughter, 6-year-old Alicia MacPhail, had just started her summer break and was on a 3-week visit to the island to spend time with her father and her grandparents. Callum suddenly noticed that the door to Alicia's bedroom was open and he didn't see her anywhere, so he and his wife, Angela King, began searching the house for her. She had never run off before, but it wouldn't be unusual for a child her age to have just crawled off somewhere and didn't realize she had caused a fuss. Unfortunately, she wasn't in the house, so Angela called 999 at 6:23 a.m. Within hours, the community would be horrified to learn what had happened to the wee girl. This is Monsters. This episode is sponsored by Fate of the Union. There's an unfortunate amount of hate in the world, and sometimes you want to make sure everybody knows you disagree, but you don't want to look bad doing it. Well, Fate of the Union has solved that problem. With a growing collection of shirts with progressive messages, there's no reason you can't obliterate the oligarchy and look good doing it. Use our promo code MONSTERS to get 15% off of your order. Fate of the Union, where progress never goes out of style. Aaron Campbell was born on May 7, 2002 in Shrewsbury in Western England to Christopher and Jeanette Campbell. Christopher worked on offshore oil rigs, so he was away from home for periods of time. Aaron had a younger sister. When he was about 5, his family moved to Rothesay on the Isle of Bute, which is in the Firth of Clyde, a major deep-water estuary on Scotland's west coast, stretching from Glasgow to the North Atlantic. The island was in the news in 2003 when fashion designer Stella McCartney, the daughter of Beatles icon Sir Paul McCartney, married Alistair Willis at Mount Stewart House, an extravagant mansion on the east coast of the island. Growing up with his father often away, Aaron got into frequent fights with his mother, who was known to be a drinker. He was well liked at school and did fine academically. He enjoyed playing video games and said he wanted to go to university to become a video game designer. He also posted videos to YouTube, hoping to launch a career as a YouTuber, as it has become a very popular goal for many youth.
This is a vlog. I'm just here to talk. I'm first going to start off with subscribers on YouTube. I've had a little breaking point in the middle of 9 subscribers where I slowed down and didn't get very many subscribers. But now I'm fast getting subscribers. I'm already up at 21 within about a week. So from 9 to 16 within a week is quite good. Like, my dream is obviously to get the same amount of subscribers as PewDiePie, maybe Yogscaster Syndicate, just people like that. Also, don't worry guys, I'm not just doing Minecraft. Other series plural. Other series will be on the way. Grammar. It's just, you need to remember that it's hard to get noticed on YouTube, and every person that clicks that subscribe button, that helps a lot more than you think. Trust me. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye. See you guys later. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Why do I repeat things, guys? Why do I repeat things? It's so annoying. Oh, I cry. I cry for you.
Aaron began his YouTube channel in 2014 when he was 12 years old, hoping to eventually become as famous as some of the biggest gaming YouTubers of the time, with millions of subscribers. He published videos of himself playing video games and continued the channel for years, eventually also posting videos of parkour and his skills on the trampoline. As the years went by with his somewhat rocky home life, he got into drinking and drugs and would regularly party with his friends, getting drunk and smoking marijuana. He began buying pot from a local couple named Robert MacPhail and Tony McLaughlin. They also smoked marijuana and weren't known as major drug dealers. They just sold a little on the side in order to pay for their own usage. In February of 2018, Aaron complained that the product he was buying from the couple wasn't good enough quality and he refused to pay them a £10 debt he owed them. That created a rift between the three and they didn't end up seeing each other for months. On June 30th, Aaron and some friends camped on the beach, and while there they planned to have a party at Aaron's house the following day. On July 1st, he and about 15 friends hung out at his house where Aaron got quite drunk off of fortified wine. When the party was over, Aaron got into an argument with his mother. She would later testify that it was about some furniture that had gotten broken during the party. One of the friends who had attended the party forgot his bag and came back to get it. He said that when he arrived at the house, Aaron was upset about the argument and expressing suicidal ideas. The friend stayed with him until he felt like Aaron was in a better mood, and as he got ready to leave, Aaron said that he was going to score some weed. He first thought of texting Robert, but remembered he owed him money, so then he tried to contact Tony, but she didn't respond. He tried to get a hold of a few other people he might be able to buy some marijuana from, but when he was unsuccessful, he decided to steal the weed from Robert. He knew where Robert lived and had stolen from him once before, so he thought he could pull it off again. He took a knife from the kitchen of his house and headed out to walk to Robert's house, which was about 5 minutes away. When he made it to the house, the door was unlocked, as many people on the island didn't lock their doors. Once inside, before he found the stash of weed, he stumbled onto Robert's daughter and decided to take her instead. Alesha MacPhail was born on October 22, 2011 in Glasgow. She originally lived with her parents Robert MacPhail and Georgina Lochran in Airdrie, North Lanarkshire, just east of Glasgow. The couple were only together for a short time before separating, and Alicia stayed with her mother in Airdrie while Robert moved in with his parents on Rothesay on the Isle of Bute. There, Alicia had her own bedroom and would go visit every other weekend, as well as other occasions such as school breaks or holidays. Robert and Georgina seemed to have had an amicable split, and they did their best to ensure their daughter had time with both parents. The head teacher of her primary school, Wendy Davey, would later say, quote, "Alicia started with us in August 2016 and had just finished primary too. She loved being at school and enjoyed all aspects of literacy, in particular writing. She was such a perfectionist with her handwriting and was very proud of her work. Alicia was very friendly and she welcomed everyone first thing in the morning at breakfast club. She was a very considerate child who loved being part of a group, and she was popular with all other children and was a smiley and happy young girl. She would be described as a girl who enjoyed everything from doing gymnastics and riding her bike to baking cakes, listening to music, and watching Peppa Pig. Like many children, she was also interested in becoming a YouTuber, and Georgina encouraged her to make that happen.
Hey guys, it's Alicia. Today I'm going to show you all about pasta. So up here. I'm going to tell you all about pasta. So first of all, pasta is a food. Everyone knows that. And pasta is now made all over the world. This is a picture of pasta, which I don't know what kind of pasta. So you'll be happy to see it. I'm just going to show you around about. This is the first page. And this is what this is. So today I have been fun with this. So, this is the page that they both make dough, and this is the page we're writing at. I'm going to show you some of the pages because I'm not sure about the pages. This is your last one, and these are all the vegetables you can put in pasta. So, guys, this is the end of my video showing you around this book and telling you stuff. And I hope you subscribe and tell me down below if you like this video. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Don't you forget to subscribe. Bye.
At the end of June of 2018, Alicia began her summer break from school, and on the 28th, she headed over to Rothesay to spend 3 weeks with her father and grandparents. By then, Robert was in a relationship with a woman named Toni McLaughlin, who it was described had a good relationship with the young girl. Her grandfather picked her up in Airdrie and drove the 50 miles or 80 kilometers to Weems Bay to catch the ferry over to the Isle of Bute. The 50-minute ferry ride took them directly to Rothesay, the largest town on the island. When they got there, Alicia wanted to go Highland dancing, but by the time they reached the 292 Club, the dance class had ended. Instead, they went to the beach in Ettrick Bay. On June 30th, the island celebrated Gala Day, which included festivities like live entertainment, a bake sale, games, donkey rides, and a children's train. Alicia partook in everything the event had to offer and had a blast. The following day, July 1st, Alicia's grandfather, Callum, drove her back to Airdrie to attend a birthday party, but it turned out they got the day wrong. The party had happened the day before, but there was a different child's party at the same location that day, and Alicia was invited to attend, so the day was not wasted. Callum would later say that Alicia could be mischievous, trying her best to get on his nerves by bouncing a balloon against his head repeatedly while he drove back to the ferry dock, but all was forgiven when she burst into his bedroom later that night and gave him a big goodnight hug. When they returned to Rothesay, Alicia went to a park with her father and his girlfriend before returning home and eating pizza. At just after 10 p.m., Robert told Alicia to put away the phone she had been playing with and go to bed. In her bedroom, Robert put on a Peppa Pig DVD for the girl to fall asleep to. That was successful, and Robert's girlfriend Toni said she went into the room at about 11 p.m. to turn off the television. Alicia was fast asleep. Aaron arrived at the house at about 2 a.m., and everybody inside was asleep. He began searching for Robert's marijuana, and the first bedroom door he came to, he opened and shined his flashlight inside. That was when he saw little Alicia asleep in her bed. Immediately, the idea of stealing the weed left Aaron's mind, and he would later say, quote, "All I thought about was killing her once I saw her." Alicia was described as being heavily asleep, so when Aaron lifted her out of her bed, she didn't wake up. It wasn't until they were outside that she finally looked at him and asked who he was and where they were going. Aaron reassured her, telling her that he was a friend of her father's and said he was taking her home. When she said she was cold, he took off his coat and put it over her. He made his way down toward the coast where he ditched the knife he had brought with him. Then he headed north where they were spotted on a residential camera. Aaron carried the girl onto the property of a former hotel where he raped and murdered her. Then he walked back home where he could be seen on the cameras at his own house at 3:35 a.m. He showered and changed his clothes and can be seen on the doorbell cam leaving the house 10 minutes later carrying the clothes he had removed. He went down to the coast and threw the clothes he had been wearing during the attack on Alicia in the ocean. Then he returned home, but a few minutes later he can be seen leaving his house again, that time in different clothes, and he's clearly carrying a flashlight. It turned out that he had dropped his phone on the old hotel property and he needed to go retrieve it. Alicia's grandfather Callum got up at 6 a.m. to get ready for work when he noticed that the door to her room was open. She was gone and nobody could find her, so her grandmother Angela called 999. The police arrived and a search began. At the same time, Angela posted a message on Facebook asking for anyone's help in finding the missing girl. It was pretty soon that someone found the knife that Aaron had ditched on the coast. Toni had seen that she had missed 2 calls from Aaron, so she tried to call him back. He didn't answer, but a few hours later texted, quote, "Sorry, doesn't matter." Toni responded by asking him to keep an eye out for Rob's little girl, and Aaron played along, asking, quote, "Yeah, what's happened?" When Toni explained the situation, Aaron said, quote, "Oh damn, I'm sure she's not went too far." About the same time Aaron was texting Tony, a man who had seen the Facebook post about Alicia being missing went to the grounds of the derelict hotel to search the area. It was there that he found Alicia's body, naked and lifeless. He walked back down toward the road and dialed 999 to inform the authorities that he had found the wee girl. Unfortunately, nobody in the family or the police had made any effort to contact Alicia's mother Georgina during the search, and she found out about the kidnap and death of her daughter from the Facebook post Angela had created. Police eventually picked Georgina up at her home and escorted her to Rothesay to be involved in the investigation. An autopsy revealed that Alicia had 117 identifiable injuries, though some of them may have been from the vegetation on the property. She had bruising to her neck and face that showed that she had been gripped firmly, and injuries to her nose and mouth showed she had been smothered. Injuries to her genitalia were described by the ME as quote-unquote catastrophic. DNA was collected from the body and her discarded pajamas, which had been found nearby. The police went into overdrive in an effort to find out who had killed a 6-year-old girl on this quiet little island. They asked for the community's help in identifying any suspicious activity, specifically if anybody had any cameras on their house that might have picked up any activity in the area. A few people reviewed footage and turned over what they had found, and one of them was Jeanette Campbell, Aaron's own mother. She reviewed their camera footage, and when she saw her son come and go from the house multiple times in the hours around when the girl went missing, she questioned Aaron about his activities. He said he had just gone out to buy marijuana. She would later testify in court that she told Aaron that the police would find DNA on the girl and that her son didn't know what DNA was. He eventually said they wouldn't find his DNA because he hadn't been anywhere near the girl. At that point, she said she believed her son. Still, she gave the footage to the police in an effort to not look like she was hiding it. Aaron was immediately brought in for an interview with the police where he answered all of their questions and didn't show any signs of worry. He was released, but a few days later more evidence came in that pointed to him as the one who had carried out the crime. Other CCTV footage from the area showed someone matching Aaron's build walk by the house carrying something. The ME reported that the soles of Alicia's feet had been clean, meaning she had been carried to the location where she had been killed. The clothing that Aaron had thrown into the ocean had washed back up on the beach, and Jeanette confirmed that they all belonged to her son. She also confirmed that the knife investigators found had come from her kitchen. Fibers from Aaron's pants matched fibers that had been collected from Alicia's pajamas. Aaron's DNA was found on multiple parts of Alicia's body as well as her pajamas. Then the day after the murder, likely after his mother told him about DNA, he used his phone to search, quote, "How do police find DNA?" and then he visited a web page titled Collecting DNA Evidence. If that wasn't enough, Aaron also filmed a selfie and a Snapchat video and sent it to a group of 25 people with the caption, quote, "Found the guy who had done it." Aaron was arrested on July 4th, 2018 and charged with the abduction, rape, and murder of Alesha MacPhail. Aaron pleaded not guilty and not only maintained his innocence, but he claimed that he knew who had killed Alicia. Aaron claimed that he had gone out in the early hours of July 2nd to buy weed, and then he had to go back out because he was looking for his lost phone. Then he claimed at some point he met up with Tony McLaughlin and the two had sex. He claimed they had an ongoing friends with benefits situation going on at the time. He said that Tony must have kept the condom he had used, gone back to the house where she kidnapped Alicia, carried her to the old hotel property where she killed her and planted his DNA on her with the contents of said condom. The defense claimed that Tony was jealous of the attention Alicia got from her father and that Tony and Robert's relationship was abusive. Obviously, Tony denied Aaron's story, and other people testified that she and Alicia had a good relationship. A teenager who knew Aaron also testified that the previous year she was communicating with him through Facebook messages when he told her, quote, "might kill one day for the lifetime experience." Aaron thought he had an answer for all of the prosecution's evidence, but the jury didn't buy it and he was quickly found guilty of all the charges. While awaiting sentencing, Aaron was examined by a forensic psychologist and he finally confessed to the crimes. He told the psychologist that he had been thinking about doing something extreme for the past year. When he found the little girl asleep in the MacPhail home, he said it was a moment of opportunity. Aaron also said that he had to keep himself from laughing during the trial. At sentencing, the judge described Aaron as a cold, calculating, remorseless, and dangerous individual. Aaron Campbell was given a life sentence with a minimum term of 27 years. The judge said the sentence would have been higher if Aaron were an adult, but he still believed that reintegration and rehabilitation were remote possibilities, possibly even impossible. In September of 2019, Aaron successfully appealed his sentence and got the minimum term reduced to 24 years. The judges stated that they believed that the sentence was too harsh for a minor, but agreed that Aaron was not likely to be successfully rehabilitated. So even though he was a child himself, the callous rape and murder of another child got him locked up until well into his adulthood at minimum. I agree with the judges that Aaron Campbell will likely always be a danger to society, and we can only hope that the monster stays locked inside a cage. Thanks for watching This Is Monsters. New episodes are uploaded twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. There are occasional bonus episodes covering unsolved cases and criminal history. If you have a suggestion for a case you think I should cover, leave it in the comments. You can always follow the channel on Instagram at thisis_monsters and purchase merch at thisismonsters.com. Thanks so much, and be safe.